Nikki here with the Canton Museum of Art presenting Museum to Go Takeout. If you were with me a couple of weeks ago when we did our lesson on symmetry, then you might remember doing what we called an image transfer. In that video, we used charcoal or sidewalk chalk and drew on one side of a piece of paper and then flipped it over and rubbed really hard to transfer our image and then trace it. This week, we're going to do another type of image transfer that you can use as the starting point for another type of painting or drawing. Now, we're doing an image transfer because we have an awesome exhibition at the museum right now called The Artistic Spirit of Merv Corning. And it's a retrospective, which means a really large collection of work by an artist named Merv Corning that was made over a span of many years. And Merv Corning loved painting Victorian houses and nice landscapes, and he also worked in advertising and as an illustrator. He loved drawing and painting his family, but what he did was he would start a lot of his images by taking photographs, and then from those photographs he would make drawings that he would transfer onto a piece of paper or canvas or something to paint on. And so we're going to look at some work of Merv Corning, but we are going to make our own image transfers also. Let's look at some work, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about his process, and then we can get to making our own image transfers. I can't wait.
You may remember this painting from last week's episode on the rule of thirds. If you haven't seen that episode, go ahead and check it out. This painting is a really good example of the detail which Merv Corning put into his work. Merv Corning was a prolific watercolor painter. That means he painted a lot of paintings. But perhaps the thing that Merv Corning is most well known for is having been dubbed the official portrait painter of the National Football League. Merv Corning painted many paintings of football players for the National Football League, and a lot of them are in the National Football Hall of Fame right here in Canton, Ohio. Just to show you a bit of Merv Corning's work, here is a painting that he did during his time as the official portrait painter of the National Football League. Merv Corning did not just paint portraits of football players, however, he painted portraits of people in his family. Here he's painted two men in a restaurant, and he painted many more portraits of people who he knew or who he met. During his very long career as an artist, illustrator, and also someone working in advertising, Merv Corning painted anything from World War I fighter planes, which he mostly painted from blueprint drawings, to even illustrating a cookbook. One of Merv's greatest passions, however, was painting landscapes. Here, on the right, you can see Amish Garden, which he painted in 2004. But you might notice on the left that Merv Corning has a sketch for his watercolor Amish Garden. The way that Merv Corning would paint is frequently he would take many photos from different angles of the same place. And then what he would do is he would sketch from those pictures. When he made the sketch that he best liked of a place or a person or whatever he was deciding to paint, he would often transfer that image directly onto watercolor paper or a canvas. He would do this by using tracing paper, but this technique really helped Merv to hone his skills because he was able to have something that he could follow as a guideline for his very detailed paintings. You can even see in his sketch on the left just how detailed that sketch is. Everything from the clothesline to the positioning of the body of the woman reading the book sitting next to the barn in the right side of this image is carefully drawn right in place, and you can see where it ended up in the watercolor painting. Now that we've talked about Merv Corning, his image transfers, and also his underlying sketches in general, we're going to jump into a project where we learn a bit about making image transfers of our own using pencil, and a really quick technique that's going to make you want to keep making sketches over and over again. I know I get kind of lost in this process when I do it. Let's check it out.
So for this project, you will need a magazine or a photo, something that you really would love to copy and draw. Some other things you'll need are some pencils. I like to just have a couple pencils on hand when I'm working. You should probably have something that is anything from a number 2 pencil to a pencil like a 9B that is really dark. So what you're going to do with your pencil is you're just going to color a large block of one of your pieces of paper. Now you can see you also need tape for this. I have taped together my pieces that I'm working on so that they are able to be kind of on like a hinge so you can see what's happening. And then you can tape this side down and just make sure that the paper doesn't slide around. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that this part where I have colored so much is laying down on top of my clean piece of paper, and I'm going to tape it gently. Now I'm going to lay the thing that I want to draw actually on top of my image. I have chosen this image of Chef Carolina Diaz, and it looks like she's making pasta in this ad. And I chose this because it reminds me of some work that I've seen by Merv Corning, specifically the 2 men that are standing in the bakery or the restaurant. And so that is why I chose this. Now I'm just going to make sure that my piece of paper is pretty lined up with what I want to draw. And this is kind of a magical technique. So I'm going to start by drawing with a very sharp pencil just some things that I am seeing. So I'm going over some hairs in her eyebrows right now. You can really start anywhere that you would like. And this is wonderful for just making a quick transfer of something that you want to draw more later. Getting the lines of the nose, getting this line of the cheek. I'm kind of going in anywhere that's pretty dark and has a line that I can trace. And I'm pressing pretty hard, but not hard enough to break the paper that I'm working with. I almost said newspaper. Magazine paper. Now, I can add in some little areas where there are shadows just by kind of blocking those areas in and quickly sketching. You don't need to do that if you're working with just lines, but it's also kind of a quick way to add some value. Going over this apron. And this is definitely not going to look like the photograph when it's transferred, but it will be a nice start, which is pretty cool, I think. This is a super quick way to transfer an image. And like I said, Merv Corning worked a lot from photographs, and he would transfer images using tracing paper. And what's cool about this is you don't really need any tracing paper. You're basically making your own carbon paper. And I'm just tracing some of these kind of areas where it looks like there might be wrinkles, coloring them in a little bit. You really are not going to be able to get every detail in here, but that's okay. Now, what I can do is I can lift this, and you can even see here that there is an image that transferred a little bit with this blue from the other side. Now, I'm going to go ahead and undo my hinge. And I like painter's tape or masking tape for this because it's really easy to peel up and you don't rip your paper. So you can see that all of the graphite that was here transferred here. And now I have this really quick sketch. Now, if I wanted to build on top of this, I could go back and start looking here and see what sorts of things I need to add in. I realized that I did not actually add her eyes. So something that's kind of easy with lining this back up is, since you can see here this curve of her shoulder, I'm going to go ahead and just line that up as well as I can, making sure that the head is back down. Now, if you wanted to be a little bit more precise, then you could definitely use your tape for this and go ahead and tape on the back. But I'm just going to go over these lines where the eyelashes are, establish some eyes in there. So this is similar to how Merv Corning would sketch and trace something. And this is a really quick kind of image transfer that you can do to either start another piece of art or just to have a very quick drawing that's kind of gestural or that kind of captures the spirit of the person. I personally just really love the way that this looks. I could go back in with some pen and maybe kind of add some harsh lines, and that could work out really well for this to make a nice pen drawing. Or I could go in and paint with watercolor like Merv Corning and really build up those values. But like I said, this is just a quick image transfer and a way that you can kind of start to feel maybe comfortable with drawing. I really like this technique because when you have just this large part of graphite, you can actually use this paper again and do more image transfers. But I also like it because it really gets you paying attention to where lines are that you're drawing, the types of angles and the shapes in an image that you're looking at. So when I'm looking at this photo, I'm not necessarily thinking about how her eyes are on an angle, but when I'm actually focusing on drawing that, and I'm not looking at this to look back at my drawing and looking at this to look back at my drawing, it's a lot faster to just block things in if you're copying an image. All right, we are going to kind of jump into the end of the video, but let me know in the comments if you have ever done an image transfer before, how you've done it, and what you love about this image transfer. I hope that you enjoyed making an image transfer just as much as I did. I would love to see your finished pieces. If you decided to paint or add value to your drawing, or you decided to do anything else, please hashtag museumtogo and also hashtag CMA from home. If you could also make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel so that you can make sure you're up to date with all of the videos and things that the Canton Museum of Art has to offer, that would be awesome. Please follow us on Facebook, where you can see these cultural connection videos every Wednesday. Make sure that you're also following us on Instagram at Canton Museum. We post a ton of really awesome community resources and things to do in Canton, and also tons about our art and art that you can do from home. So I hope that you had a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you next wonderful Wednesday. Bye.